yesterday, and I know they had agreed, but I didn't know he had a passive physical at that point, so he was being invited to our minor league camp. Okay. Not our major league camp, but to our minor league camp. We have talked about adding him.
He should not be considered as a backup. You mentioned Rutledge.
No, he's not in that concern. Now, if he plays well enough and we had a need, that'd be a different. But he was signed to come to our minor league camp and help our minor league system at this point.
Pablo's been working out with guys from Team Venezuela. Is he? What's his status with the WBC?
He is not playing.
Not playing.
No.
Does the longer spring training, Dave, change anything routine-wise, especially for pitchers in terms of building up?
Well, it does. That's a good question. I think you have to be careful in one with your pitchers, that you don't give them too many innings in spring training. So I think you almost have to work backward with the number of innings that they'll pitch. We've had conversations about that. John Farrell will talk to some of our people. But you want to be careful that you don't give them too much. And the second thing is with your positional players. We do have 39 games during spring training, and so some of them only want a certain number of at-bats. You don't want to wear them out during spring training, yet you still need to get them ready. So you have to have that balance, and you have to be in a position where you always bring a proper team, a competitive team for the rules. But yeah, it does give you challenges, but nothing that can't be overcome.
We talked to you at Foxwoods. You mentioned looking at some minor league free agents still at that point in time. Do you feel like it's pretty much settled at this point who's going to be in camp?
Well, we do continue to talk to people, mostly pitchers. You see guys are still getting big league contracts, most of them have. But the numbers are dwindling. So I'd have to say, could we? Yes. Am I sure that we're going to? I would say no. We don't. We have 28 pitchers in camp, excluding Carson Smith. We want to be careful to take it easy with him, so we have 28 other guys. We have plenty to get us through the spring. But if we found the right couple guys that we could still bring on a minor league contract with a big league invite, we would still do that.
You've mentioned Rutledge a couple times as another guy there at third base. What do you like about his game?
Well, we like his bat. A couple years ago, he really swung the bat well for us. Chili Davis thought he made some real strides, and he had some good at bats. We actually last year thought he had a chance to help us, but then he hurt his knee, and it affected his swing a great deal. So we think from an offensive perspective, he has a chance to contribute. And he can play different positions too. He can play second, he can play third. He could even go over to first base if he had to, so he's got some versatility. But we do like the way he swings the bat.
I cover far more the business angle than the sports, but as I heard a sponsor in there ask if there might be some seed money from the Red Sox to help with a renovated McCoy or a new stadium here in Rhode Island. Any thoughts that the Red Sox, given how important it is to have your AAA affiliate here?
That is not my area. You have to ask Sam. I'm on the baseball.
Is he coming back over?
I cannot answer that question.
So competition going into spring training, there's the kind of the back end of the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want to see?
Well, if there's rotation battles, I'm sure there are guys going to be battling to make the bullpen. Even though it looks like it's somewhat solidified, I'm sure that guys will be battle. Catching, probably a little bit more so. We've got two guys that we like, and Leon and Vasquez, who are both out of options. We also like Blake Swihart a great deal. I'm sure he's coming into camp with his own mind that he'd like to win a spot. So those are probably the biggest battles, and unless somebody jumps up and takes a spot away from someone.
For guys who might not have out of options, like a Vasquez and a Bryce Prince, how important of a camp is that for them?
Well, it's always important. And of course, depth is important with your ball club too, and throughout a 162-game season. So when guys are out of options, it benefits them at times compared to other times when you have options available. But it also is a situation where I think it's important for them to make the club. But secondly, it's also a situation where if they're not going to make your club because you just don't have room for them, it's also important for them to impress other clubs during spring training. So normally, our club, as well as every other club in baseball, sort of identifies out-of-option players with other organizations and has your scouts bear down on them just in case you have a need at that particular spot and they don't end up making a major league club, so their particular club. So it's important spring for them.
You and John have mentioned kind of that Steven and Drew would probably have the the leg up in the rotation battle, and having made the All-Star team last year, Eduardo still has options remaining. How much of that is still an open competition in spring at this point in your guys' minds?
Well, I think it's an open competition. I think it just depends on who pitches well the best for us, who gives us a better chance to win, how they're thrown at that particular time. So it's very open.
Have you and John talked lineups, like possible combinations, anything?
Not at this
No,
point, very
no.
much. No, that's usually something. First of all, lineups are his job. Secondly, that's usually something. I mean, you toss about different ideas, but that's more something he gets into more so during spring training.
I don't know how much Sam was joking, but about the plane ride to the Dominican when you asked David Ortiz about coming back. Well, what did he say?
No, I didn't ask him. He was joking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, at that point, no, I think at this point is because the question comes up all the time, and we take David at his word that he's decided to retire. And we did to go down there. We went down there to take a look at his land for the academy, and we do have some ideas. And I'm going to sit down with him about being involved in the organization, but we didn't have any conversation about him coming back.
Do you see that as an on-field position, or it could be a mix?
I think it could be a mix, more so like other guys are. But I think, I mean, we're open-minded to anything, but it's hard for me to imagine that he's going to want to be 100% every single day coming out to the ballpark to help, let's say, in a full-time coaching capacity. I think it would be more of a consultant capacity, like when you look at a Jason Varitek or Pedro Martinez, what they do. But he also being here in town, there's marketing, there's television, so there's a lot of different alternatives, but we really haven't pinned him down yet, and really he had asked for more time himself because he did just want to relax and get away. So that's a conversation that I'm sure will be had relatively soon with him.
So you just said relatively soon, but I mean, before spring training, during spring, I mean, when? I know there's no deadline, but do you have an idea of?
No, I don't. I know he just got back because he
Yeah.
was in the Dominican for an extended period. I'm leaving Thursday morning, so and there's no meeting planned tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But he can meet with the guys here, and I've talked to David often, and he knows that we're very interested in him as part of the organization. And so it's more a matter of when his own mindset is ready to kind of sit down and talk about it.
Dave, Red Sox Winter Weekend at Foxwoods was a huge success. Again, to attempt to grow the game with the youth and get kids more involved and more excited. The Red Sox probably do one of the best jobs of all the clubs with different programs and things for kids. Sam mentioned the $9 tickets for the college students. What kinds of other things do you think the Red Sox will do and other teams will do in an attempt to get the game, more in the minds of the younger sports fans?
Well, that's a long question.
I know.
So and I really don't think I'm going to have it
All right.
because that's really is a full-time. But I
This
think
year,
the
what kinds of
reality-
things this year? What would be
Well, I
different?
think the reality is that it's always something that's on our mind is growing the game for our youngsters. We are involved in the community on clinics. We get our players in the community. We've just been involved in putting in some batting cages in the inner city for some youngsters. So there's so much we try to do as far as promotional aspects too. So it's always on our mind to try to get youngsters involved in the game and try to get as much exposure to them as we possibly can. So, and it'll be something we continue to do and always explore ways to do so.
I know the Paw Sox did a lot last year too, which was great for the kids. There was a lot of events for the kids here. So
Yeah, it's very important.
Dave, personally, this offseason versus last offseason, I mean, I know you're not new to this, but you've kind of had your feet more firmly entrenched.
Yes.
How's it been different for you?
Well, I think it's no question it's different. I think it's a lot different, really. I mean, I think basically the biggest difference is when you look after the 2015 season. I just was starting, didn't know. I met people, but didn't really know a lot of them. I've just taken time to have a chance to get to know so many more things about from an organizational perspective. We had organizational meetings in the meantime. I had a chance to meet everybody in the baseball end of the operation from all over the world that came into town. I think also another big difference is now when we make decisions, I'm going on my first-hand basis much more too. So I had a chance to watch all of our players play. I had a chance to read all of our reports on a daily basis. So you have a better feel of that. And I know, like going to spring training, when I talk about it right now, it's different for me in the respect that I know how to get to the ballpark. I didn't know that last year. So all of a sudden you take a wrong turn, and when you get caught in traffic, that 10-minute drive might be a half hour. So there's just so many things that are just different. It's a matter of getting your feet on the ground. And I mean, last year one of the things I wanted to get to that I never got to last winter time was going to the Dominican to see our academy. Well, this year I had a chance to do that. So you're just building constantly on the knowledge. And
You're also coming off a division win as opposed to a last place finish, and less to do in terms of filling out the team too.
well, yeah, I guess that was probably the case, but still, I think we did a lot the year before, and we did some things this winter time, and I think a lot of that's based though. I listen to people, but it helps so much more when you've experienced everything yourself day in and day out, I find. So for me, that's been a very helpful experience.
You mentioned Brisbane